Powered by Riverside FM.
All right, so our next guest here is actually a hero of the show. The dude seemed to always turn out a big play when the team needed it the most when he was playing for the Browns. His career stats include 178 receptions, 2,258 yards, 14 touchdowns. He was a Pro Bowler. He tied for the most touchdown receptions in a single season for a tight end in Browns history with none other than Ozzie Newsome at 9. The man has dated WWE divas and competed on The Amazing Race. But let's let him tell you all about that. Please welcome number 82 on the field and number 1 in your hearts. Here he is, Big Play Gary Barnidge. How are you, man?
Me. I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We appreciate you being here. And so, can I call you BPG or do you prefer Gary?
Whatever you would like.
All right. I think I'm mixing it up.
We'll go back and forth.
Yeah. But anyways, again, thanks for joining us. Now, before we get started and get into some of the questions that we have for you, I just wanted to, we have to talk about something, an event that we're both going to be attending coming up next spring here. So you're going to be on the Browns fan cruise in March of 2024. That is confirmed. That's big facts for Big Play Gary. And you're going to be on that Browns fan cruise. We're going to be on that Browns fan cruise. We're going to be emceeing events on the Browns fan cruise, just having an all-around great time. So can you tell our fans a little bit about the Browns fan cruise?
Yeah, so the Browns fan cruise is going to be an amazing experience. I've actually done fan cruises before with my previous team when I played in Carolina. So I'm really excited that Cleveland is doing a alumni. So a lot of it's more of the retired players, but you're going to get your true look of how football players think, because you can actually sit down and pick their brain when it comes to the game of football. And I think that's a different atmosphere than you'll ever experience, because you can be able to ask questions on like, why did this happen? How do they run plays here? How does this work? And then you get a full in-depth explanation on a hands-on experience with the players. And I think they're all going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. And you get to actually meet us and figure out who we are as people, not just as athletes or players.
Hell yes. And that's something, honestly, not a lot of the alumni have touched on yet, that we actually get to ask them about specific plays or specific, things that happen throughout your career. And you just want to know the story of this or that, or, whatever went down. So something that's going to be pretty cool. So let's get into your story now. I'm sure we'll come back to the fan cruise here later. So let's start with college. You played at Louisville, right?
That is correct.
Is it Louisville or Louisville?
It's Louisville.
Okay.
Louisville.
All right, got it. Us Ohioans, we don't know how to pronounce things,
Everybody says Louisville, but when you go to Louisville, it's Louisville.
Got it. So when we want to blend in. So tell us about your time there.
Yeah, so Louisville was a great experience. I played 4 years there. I got to play as a true freshman. I was on some of the best teams in Louisville history. So I think it was a perfect storm. And a lot of that credit goes to Bobby Petrino. I know he has some ill will in the league, but as a college coach, I could not give him any more credit for getting me to where I was, because he knew how to get the best out of players. He was not the type of coach that would be, I'm going to go off all 5-star recruits. He was going after 2-3-star recruit guys that he knew wanted to work and were hungry. And that's what he built his philosophy of recruiting. Now, he still got to some of the big names, but he went after guys he knew that he could help mold into the player he wanted him to be. And I think that's a true testament to who he was as a coach. And it showed with his time at Louisville. He had 2 stints there, and 2 stints we got the BCS Bowls. So I think he has tremendous success there, and we're seeing big things now with Braun there now, beating Notre Dame and 6-0 and all that kind of stuff, because he was under that tutelage of Petrino as well. He was my offensive coordinator and quarterback coach when I was there. So a lot of history there, and I'm really excited about the way Louisville is changing right now back into the positive.
Nice. And who was the quarterback there when you played?
So Brian Braun, who is now the offensive coordinator at Louisville, his brother.
Okay, gotcha. Nice. And then, so from there, obviously, you were drafted by the Panthers in the 5th round in 2008. And we don't, we're Browns fans, so we don't worry about the time with the Panthers. We understand that you can't just be with the Browns your entire career. But tell us a little bit about your time, just briefly, with the Panthers. I know you spent, 3 years there?
So I actually spent 5 years in Carolina, but one of them I hurt my ankle and was on the IR for a year. So I dislocated my ankle and missed a year, and they signed me back to a 1-year deal because that was in my contract year. And I got a very fortunate situation, which is how I ended up in Cleveland. So Chazinski was our offensive coordinator, and I came back from my injury. And so I was the second tight end. Going in, I thought I was going to have an opportunity to be the guy, but they traded for Greg Olson, so I never got that opportunity. And then when Chazinski got the head coaching job in Cleveland, he reached out and said, "Hey, Gary, I want you in Cleveland because I've seen what you can do." Because I was the second tight end in Carolina, and I did a lot of the pass blocking and run blocking for the team while Olson ran the routes. Mm-hmm. So he's like, "Hey, I want you here. I want to try and get you in Cleveland. I want you to do big things here." And I took him at his word, and I went to Cleveland, and the rest is history. But it took me some time to get my ability to start because I was not ever given a true opportunity for a few years in Cleveland.
Yeah, and big things you did.
Real quick, just to touch on the Carolina time, you get a chance to play with Cam. Do you have any good Cam Newton stories?
Not really, honestly, because I only got to play with Cam really for 1 year because the other year I was hurt, so I didn't really get to play and learn and see anything. I was rehabbing most of the time. I think my time in Carolina, Cam was good. I think Steve Smith, he gets a lot of hate, but Steve Smith was an amazing person. And I actually got to play with my all-time favorite player growing up, and Julius Peppers, because I played defensive end in high school. So I actually got to play with him in Carolina, which was awesome. And then one thing I learned in Carolina that led me into Cleveland as well was I wasn't getting to play a lot of tight end starting out, and I ended up leading the team in tackles 1 year in Carolina as special teams because I wanted to be on the field. So, and that helped. And I actually played special teams in Cleveland as well. So I think that's a testament to most guys out there that don't understand that in football, the more you can do, that is not a false statement. The more you can do, the easier it is to stay around because special teams is a huge part of the game.
So, yeah, for sure. Can you talk about just the transition from, you said you played defensive end in high school. When did that move happen to be able to play tight end?
So I played both ways in high school. So I played tight end and defensive end, but I played predominantly defensive end. I came in and played tight end some, but we were a run-first team. So I was always blocking. I wasn't doing a lot of catching. And obviously I was a big body. I was 6'6", 215. My junior year of high school. So and I didn't gain anything going into my senior year, and I actually played my freshman year in college at that. But DN was always my favorite thing just because I like to play defense. I like to go after the quarterback, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think that helped transition for special teams because that's what you're doing in special teams. You're going down and making tackles, breaking down. So that background playing defensive end really helped that. But the transition at tight end really fully happened when I got to Louisville.
Do you have any thoughts just around how special teams has evolved in the last recent years in the NFL in terms of how they've kind of made that? They're trying to make it obsolete.
Yeah, they're trying to make it obsolete, which I think is terrible. I understand that they say everything is about safety, but I don't think any of it's actually about safety. I think it's just optics to make it look like safety, and it's not really. I despise you can fair catch anywhere inside the 25 and get at the 25. I think that's so bad. It takes away the gamesmanship of a game and trying to sky kick and kick them deep and then tackle them deep inside the 25. You just take all that away, and you're never going to see another Devin Hester or Josh Cribbs type of guy ever again because they're taking all that away. And I think that's sad because that's a huge part of the game, and it's super exciting part of the game.
It was always way more exciting when it was just any given kickoff, somebody's going to break one. And you kind of touch on a good topic here. I had no idea this was going to go here, but tell us a little bit more about just your thoughts on player safety and things like that. I know you kind of mentioned, you think that it's not all what they say it is. So can you elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, I have no problem. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I have no problem talking.
I have no affiliations that I need to keep having.
So I think a lot of it's just optics with the little helmet things they wear in training camp. It's optics to make it look like they care. If you actually cared, you have them on all game, every game. You wouldn't just do it for training camp, because if you're wearing it in practice in the training camp and then you take it off and go and hit in the regular season and games, you just defeated the purpose. You're just trying to protect guys from getting injured in training camp, but you don't actually care during the games. So I think a lot of it's just an optics aspect. Hey, looks like we care, and people stop talking about it. But there's so many other things. If they actually cared, as you see, we wouldn't have turf fields where guys are tearing their knees. We don't have all grass fields. But that shows you they don't care as much. Again, a big thing with the concussions, that did not become a big deal until the movie Concussion came out. It was never brought up, and that was 4 years into my career. So there was never any issue. Nobody ever talked about concussions. But as soon as they made a movie about it and it got in the public eye is when it became a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it feels, watching the NFL and the way they talk about things, it's almost like, yeah, we fixed this. It's all better now, but clearly not, because they happen all the time. So
correct. And that's why they have the blue tint now, so they can't actually show you what they're working on.
For sure. So do you have thoughts about that personally? I mean, just as a player, is that something that, given all of the information you have today, would you have made different decisions, maybe not have played football, or was it always just there's an assumed risk because it's a dangerous game?
So honestly, I think it's an assumed risk. If you're going to play football, you know what you're signing up for. You have the ability to have injuries, and you're taking on that thing. That's why I don't blame the NFL for all that stuff. I think they get attacked by everybody because of the injuries and stuff, but the players are signing up for the things. Yes, you can try and make things safer and stuff like that. I don't think removing special teams is a way to make it safer. I think it's the development in better helmets. Obviously, you can say better tackling and stuff, but the game is so fast and so hard. Yes, guys need to keep their heads up, but you never know what's going to happen. There's so many times guys lower the helmet just to get ready for a hit, and they get hit in the helmet. Like, it's just random things happen. It's a violent game, and it's always going to be a violent game unless you try to make it where it's no longer tackle. That's the only way it's not going to be violent. So I think you're always going to have issues when it comes to injuries, and I think that's an inherent risk that us players take upon us whenever we decide to play football.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, obviously, none of us ever played at your level, but I mean, it felt that way even growing up. Like, we started to hear when we were in high school about all this stuff with concussions and whatever else, but it's like, when you just know, like, yeah, I could get hurt. And people are hitting me in the head nonstop. Of course, I could get a concussion.
And you just see less and less kids coming out for football every year. I mean, it's harder to field teams, especially in small communities, than it ever has been.
I would say the only thing that I would like to see more of is just more of the after the retirement health stuff for players, because, again, there's no test for CTE. The only way you know is when they pass away. So finding a way to help former players in that aspect when they're done playing, because you only get a certain amount of time where they take care of you with medical benefits and stuff like that. But then after that, you're on your own. So I think finding a way to balance it where the former players are taken care of as well, because that's when those issues are going to hit more. You're going to have the knee replacements, the hip replacements. You're going to have the head issues and all that stuff pop up later in your life versus earlier in your life. And that's when you need that help versus right when you're done. So I think finding a way to balance that where you can help players later in their life is a huge aspect that I think needs to be addressed more.
But I know that stuff that they discuss in like the CBA and those things, is that, I mean, do you have any ideas as far as, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, so, but do you have any ideas as far as what they can do in order to achieve that, level of coverage for the rest of their lives?
So the tough thing is with the CBA is it's mainly just active players they're negotiating for. They're negotiating for the former players too, but the active players have more of a vocal role in that because they're playing. And honestly, when you're playing, you're not thinking about the retired players. You're thinking about the players that are playing right now and the benefits you can get while you're playing. But everybody's eventually going to be a former player. And I think that's one thing that you don't really think about that until you're done. Like, oh, well, I wish we would have fought more for the retired players or the guys before us, because we really could have helped us when we were done too. But in that moment, everybody's just thinking about the current. And I think that's the hard part with the CBA is trying to find a way to balance from the union side is trying to find a way to balance. Hey, we need to take care of both. How do we do that? Because usually the NFL is only going to give you one or the other. They're not going to give you both. So you have to pick and choose. And most of the time, it usually is going with the current players because that's the most vocal and who has the most say at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like the NFL's having any trouble raising money at this point. So I would think that there's some way to create some kind of fund for players, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we did get off track a little bit, which is fine. It's great discussion there. I mean, that's all stuff that we're very interested in. I know Kenny has said multiple times throughout the season, if they really cared about player safety, they'd be wearing the what do they call them? The skull caps or whatever they are.
Yeah, just
all season long.
If they're saying, I mean, they have all these analytics back that say that they've reduced concussions during practice and training camp by 50 or 60%, whatever it is, by position group. It's like, well, why aren't we wearing them during the games? I mean, if you're saying they're that effective and we care that much, why would we not just wear them all the time? But again, I digress. So let's. You mentioned that you came over to the Browns with Chudzinski. So tell us a little bit about your time with Cleveland.
So, yeah, when I came over with Chud, I was sort of giving a little false pretense that when I came over, he's like, hey, I want to make you like Greg Olsen. So I'm like, I'm super excited. Okay, I'm going to get an opportunity to get all these balls and all that kind of stuff. And then I get there and Jordan Cameron becomes the Greg Olsen and I become blocking again, which is fine. I love Jordan Cameron. He's actually a member on my nonprofit. So I love Jordan. He's awesome. There's never a fault with Jordan. That's just what the coaches went with. And he produced. He went to the Pro Bowl. He ended up getting a good payday in Miami. And then he had a lot of concussions and he had a lot of injuries where he got injured and stuff, which is unfortunate. You don't wish that on any player. And that's when I actually finally got an opportunity because Jordan went down in the year before he went to Miami, and I got a chance to come in and I made some key catches to help us win some games. And that's when they decided, okay, we're going to let Jordan walk. We're going to give him an opportunity. And that's when I was finally given an opportunity to start. And this was going into my third year at Cleveland. So this is my second head coach at that point. Actually, probably my second head coach, yeah.
And I think that
3 head coaches in 4 years.
Oh man, it seems to be a recurring theme.
Because we've heard that a few times.
No, but that season that you're talking about when Jordan went down and you stepped up, I think that's where you earned with us the moniker Big Play Gary, because it literally seemed like every time we needed something, every time we needed a first down to like ice a game or anything, I mean, it was you showed up, so it was pretty wild to watch. So along with your time with Cleveland, do you have any advice that you can give to current Browns players, especially like the younger guys?
I would say current advice, just know the fans are going to be behind you no matter what's going on, even if you're in a spell or not. Because, again, I was on a team that won 1 game and we were still selling out. Respect your fans. Fans are going to be there for you. Try to do more with the fans. And that was one thing I was big about, was trying to give back to the fans. I did a movie giveaway every week during the year where I take fans to the movies. I bring some players and I take care of it. I wanted to give back, and because they're supporting us. So I want to show that it's reciprocated. And I would say just stick with it. Things can get better. Things can always get worse. Trust me. I know if you ever talk to Joe Thomas has been through some things too. And, things can always be a lot worse, and right now they're doing well. They have some unfortunate injuries, but just stay the course. Things can always get better and will get better.
And to that point, I know we can get a little bit critical at times, but as soon as we win some games, everybody's we're right there, and all wounds are healed, and we're behind the team 100%, and we're ready to roll. So. So another question I had for you with your time in Cleveland, kind of spending time with a franchise, you become like a family almost with your team. Did you, and your community for that matter, do you have a favorite off the field memory from your time in Cleveland?
Favorite off the field? Probably a couple, just because obviously I love doing the movie giveaways with the fans and players would come out. I think that was awesome because fans actually got to know us players and talk to us. And then we see a random movie that who knows if it's their type of genre or not, but then you just get to interact with us. And that was a blast. And then I would say the Halloween parties were fun at Joe Thomas's house. One of the years we had it at my house. And then doing the events with the teams. I think those are huge things, like just the team bonding stuff. Like we went paintballing as a team and stuff like that. I think doing that helps build the camaraderie of the team and brings everybody closer, even when things are going tough. Like, hey, you might have had a bad year last year. Okay, we're going to bring together and try and rally around each other. And I think that's probably the stuff I cherish the most versus like stuff that happened in a game, because that's lifelong friendships you form with guys when you're doing that type of stuff and building that relationship with everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Gary, can we take a quick step back? I'm curious for you personally. Obviously, you played both sides of the ball in high school. Worked your ass off on special teams to make sure that people were seeing what you were doing and the talent you had. Was there a specific point in time, or a coach or a mentor, somebody that kind of put that into your head that you had the potential that it takes to play in the NFL? Like, when did that become a reality for you?
I think as a kid, I always wanted to play professionally in baseball, because baseball was my first sport. And then basketball. Football was actually my least favorite sport growing up. I actually only played it for 2 years before my sophomore year of high school, because I focused on baseball and basketball. I was like, I'm not having fun with football. And then I missed it my freshman year of high school and went and started playing my sophomore year of high school. And I think getting a letter from Louisville, going from my freshman year spring football tape to going into my sophomore year, to start of it, I got a letter from Louisville just off a spring football tape, and I ain't played football in a year. And I didn't play at all that freshman year. So that gave me an opportunity I can get to college, to think, okay, I have an opportunity to get to college. So I can at least get my college paid for and be one of the first in my family to ever graduate from college. And so that's when I knew that. And I think once I got the college, I would probably say my tight end coach, Greg Nord, in college really put in my head that there's an opportunity, because my freshman year, I got to play as a true freshman. Then I started as a sophomore, junior, and senior at Louisville. And then I think my junior year, my first 2 years, I didn't get a ton of catches. And in Petrino's offense, the tight end doesn't. And then I started getting a little more my junior year. And then my senior year, we had Petrino left, and that's when I really blew up as a receiver. I ended up having like 50 some odd catches as a senior in college. And I think that's when I really knew, okay, well, now I truly have an opportunity to be it. Because going into my senior year, I was already a watchman on the John Mackey Award. So and I hadn't got a lot of balls. So that was basically off of blocking and a couple catches. So just seeing that, and then Nord really harping that, hey, you have the opportunity, you really got to dive in more. And I think that's what really drove home that opportunity that, okay, I possibly can get to the NFL. And then that's when everything changed. Because I wanted to play professional in some sport. I just assumed it would have been baseball.
Yeah, you would think they would know after your freshman year, because I'm pretty sure you had 7 catches and 4 touchdowns your freshman year. So they should have known. He's Big Play Gary. He always scores.
He only catches touchdowns.
Yeah. So So again, a great career all around, college, NFL. You're an absolute legend in our eyes, BPG. But for most guys, they kind of get this sort of whole second life after football. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're up to today? I know I mentioned earlier, I heard you're dating divas. You're competing on Amazing Race. Can you tell us a little bit about both of those?
Yeah, so I did the reality show WWE Divas. I just did one episode, just a little thing, just something different to try. I actually did that when I was playing. I was actually in Cleveland when I was playing during that time. And then
who'd you date?
It was Summer Rae at the time. I don't know what her name is now. And then it was, what was her name? Eva Mendez, I think. Not Eva Mendez. Eva something. I don't remember what her wrestling name, the last name was, but it was like a love triangle type
Bone,
thing.
get on that.
It was like a love triangle aspect.
Nice.
Was it Rosa Mendez?
Rosa Mendez. I knew it was a Mendez.
Yeah.
So it was like a love triangle aspect where I went on a date with both of them, all that kind of stuff. But again, like I tell people, reality television is not real.
I was just going to ask. It's reality TV, so how real was it? Not at all?
Reality television is not real. I will tell you, in all reality television, other than like, I will say The Amazing Race, that's legit what was happening. We'll talk about that. But like when you get to like drama stuff is fake and fueled. It's not actually.
So The Bachelor and Bachelorette, that's all.
It's not real. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble, but
nice. My wife is going to be so disappointed. So yeah, you mentioned it though, The Amazing Race. Tell us about that.
So The Amazing Race is actually it's a funny story how that actually came about. So me and D'Angelo Williams, sorry, he was on the Steelers, I know, guys, but he played with me in Carolina. So we had a great relationship from then. We were actually in South Africa together and visiting one of our buddies who was living in Africa, and he brought up The Amazing Race or like a travel show type thing. And he's like, Gary, would you ever do that? And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And I asked D, I was like, D, would you ever do that? He said, yeah, I'd do that. Little to be known, 6 months later, they're casting. And I'm like, hey, D, we're going to put a tape in for The Amazing Race. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, back in South Africa, you said you would do it. So now, because we're such close friends, he's locked in. So now we were actually at Disney when we made our video and sent in the video, and they're like, we love it. We're going to fly you out to LA and do interviews with everybody. So we did, they flew us out. We did all the interview stuff. And then now you're just waiting to find out if you get picked. They call us again. We happen to be at Disney again. And they call us and let us know we made it. And at that point, I think the realization that for D'Angelo is like, well, now I got to do this. So, and then led us to going in on The Amazing Race. The crazy thing about it is it took us 2 years for that thing to air. So 2 years we couldn't talk about it with anybody because of COVID hitting and stuff. So they waited everything, and they waited 2 years before they aired it because we filmed that in 2018.
So was it weird? When you filmed that, was that post playing career?
Yeah, that was a year and a half after retirement.
Okay, I was going to say that has to be weird because they probably put information up there that's since not accurate anymore and whatever else because it's a 2 year delay. But yeah, I mean, that's a crazy story. Yeah, we'll do it.
So with that being like D now, if I ask him to something, he's like, I'll let you know or I'll get back to you. He doesn't give me a yes because he knows if he says yes, he's locked in.
Yeah.
What was the craziest challenge or like thing that you guys had to do on that show?
Well, I wouldn't say the craziest. The worst was the watermelon stacking. It was so bad because you have to throw so many watermelons.
As soon as you said that, so say it again.
So you had to take these watermelons from the back of a truck, and they had this little area, and you had to make a triangle. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, all the way up. So it's 10 across, then 8, 9, 8, all the way. And it was terrible because the crazy thing is that I prepared watching previous seasons. I had never seen the show before. Well, there was an episode where they did that previously. I was like, oh, this looks boring, and I skipped it. So they literally tell you how to do it, and I did not know that. So we did it, and I'm 6'6". D'Angelo's 5'1". Not really 5'1", but I always got a joke on him. But so my back is on fire having to bend down every time and hand these watermelons. And we were struggling so much because it was in Brazil, and it was so hot. So D'Angelo's cramping, and we feel like we had the pyramid right. Like, it's the numbers. Yeah, it's not perfect looking, but we have 10, 9, 8, and that's what it said we had to do. And they kept saying, no, it wasn't good enough. So we were losing our mind because, like, no, this is literally what you want us to do, but we're not professional watermelon stackers. It's not going to look perfect. And then they actually ended up passing us, but it took us like 4.5, 5 hours to do it. It was terrible. We thought we were going home.
So in that episode, was there a lot of bleeps?
Well, they just didn't show those, but yeah, there's a lot of me yelling at D because he's cramping and I'm having to do it myself. So he was very frustrated and he was ready to quit, but he knew I wasn't going to, so he wasn't going to. And we thought we were going home though, but
yeah, he's probably sitting there. I can't believe you talked me into the race. You son of a-
And I'll give a little backstory of a little something that happened afterwards that didn't make air and stuff. But like, we were in the hotel, so usually afterwards you're in a hotel for 25 to 36 hours before you go to the next location. Well, we have a knock on our door, and it was our cameramen. They left a watermelon at our door, and we're waiting around the corner to see us answer it. They were just giving a little joke on us, but it was funny. But at
guys
that point,
go Gallagher on it and just smash it.
I haven't had watermelon since. That's a legit thing. I have not had a watermelon since.
Oh goodness! Wow. Oh no, that's great stuff. And so good stories. It seems like it's been pretty eventful since you retired with those things. But I mean, besides just what is going on in your life and things, what about charities and things like that? I know you mentioned a nonprofit earlier. Tell us about your nonprofit.
Yeah, so I have a nonprofit. It's called American Football Without Barriers, or AFWB, in which we go overseas, do free football camps for kids, visit schools, orphanages, hospitals, and just give back overseas. Because what people don't understand, there's so many people that love American football that aren't in the U.S. And you'd be surprised at how big it is. And I'm not talking about just London. I'm talking about in Brazil, I'm talking about in Finland, Germany, China, all these other places that don't get the love that the NFL gives to London. And Germany obviously was one they just recently did, but there's so many countries that have it. Finland, for example, they have a football hall of fame, for their own football in Finland. That's how big that sport is there as well. And that's what we want to give these kids the opportunity to play a sport they get to watch and they enjoy watching. And they actually play. They have leagues over there. So we partner with the leagues and we do free football camps. We bring 10 to 15 NFL players over, and then we do a 2-day camp. Or we do 4 camps over 2 days. And then we also visit schools to give back, visit orphanages and just spend time. And then we also sightsee. So it's also like a trip for the guys as well to give back, but also learn about the other cultures of the countries and see what it all has to offer. Because I don't think enough people truly understand the beauty that's out in the world, other than just the United States. There's so many beautiful places outside the United States that's worth seeing. And then if we can help people at the same time, why not? And that's where it all comes from. We do camps in the U.S. as well. We do them in my high school, one of the other founder, Bruno Giacomini's high school in Massachusetts. And then we do one in Louisville where we both went to college. But it is all about just giving back and giving the opportunities. We eventually want to get kids a chance to get looked at and get recruited by colleges, because colleges don't recruit internationally. So if we can get an opportunity to get a chance to get looked at by a college and play football in the United States because it's a dream, why not? And that's what we're trying to do. And it's all free. We don't charge them a cent, and everything's free, and just come out and have fun. And that's what it's all about. We've had 9 successful camps so far.
Yes. And you talk about the international and recruiting and things like that. We've seen how international players have changed the NBA game. I can't imagine what bringing great players from overseas would do for the NFL. Well,
yeah, Major League Baseball as well.
True. Yeah,
the NFL is kind of a standalone in that. So no, that's awesome. I was actually just getting ready to ask, do you envision a time where we're going to be seeing recruiting for international players?
I hope so. In college, I know the NFL has their international program where they put players on the practice squad, and some of them have been successful. But colleges, it's obviously super expensive for them to go recruit internationally. So I think finding other avenues to help get those kids. And that's why if we're able to get kids and bring them over. So we actually brought our very first camp we did in China. We brought 2 kids over. They went to D'Angelo Williams' football camp that he did in Memphis. And one was offered a D2 scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Now he turned it down because he's like, I'm going to go to Stanford for schooling. So, okay, but at least he got the opportunity. If he wanted to play football, he could have done that. He would have never got that opportunity without AFWB. And then there was a kid from Egypt, a tight end, that he was offered preferred walk-on status at UAB. But he's a kid from Egypt that doesn't have the money to come and get there and do the preferred walk-on, so he couldn't do it. So finding this kid, at least he was given the opportunity if he was able to do it. And next step is trying to find an opportunity where we can find funding to provide these kids, if they get preferred walk-on status, they at least get the opportunity to come over and try and see if it works for them.
Yeah, hell yeah. That would be awesome. And so...
real quick follow-up. Do you have any insight or just thoughts around the NFL's love affair with London? why they haven't kind of branched out more than they have?
Because there's just a lot of people, I would say. I think it's an easier market to hit into. But honestly, it's probably not even the biggest market. Brazil has 30 some odd teams that play in Brazil. They play football, and that's just one organization. There's multiple organizations. Finland's huge. Germany's huge, and they just went and did the Germany game. Germany's probably bigger than London in fandom, but it's not as many people. And I think that's the thing. It's all about hitting more people than hitting the diehards. Because I think a team in Germany would be better than a team in London, because I think they're so diehard. They're going to be like the Philly style fans, where they're going to, and even the Brown fans, they're going to be out every game, no matter what happens. They're going to be there because they love the game of football. And one thing we did with AFWB that I haven't seen is we actually do women's camps. Because there's a bunch of women that play actual tackle football and like flag football in these countries. And we do the actual women's camps as well to give them an opportunity. Finland, there was literally a girl, she's a female Wes Welker. That's all I could have imagined. She's out there breaking off all of these people, dominate, and they hitting in pads and everything. Because like if they play in pads, we do a padded camp. So we can actually teach them the proper way to tackle. And because that's the thing is we want to make sure they learn everything the proper way versus here's how it is. And then they go do it a different way because they weren't taught how to tackle. So we want to teach them the proper way of doing everything.
It's awesome.
That is awesome. And so is there a website that you have if anybody wants more information or would possibly like to? Yeah,
afwbcamps.com.
Awesome. We'll make sure we put that at the bottom of the screen in post-production here. So, real quick, though, I do all of that is great stuff. It's great things that you do for the game of football to grow it and really bring that to people overseas and help bring them here even and kind of connect everything. But I do want to kind of go back to the time that we get to share on the open ocean in March of 2024 and a couple amazing stops along the way. So let's talk about some of the things that everyone should look forward to on this fan cruise, on the Cleveland Browns fan cruise. Is there an event or activity on this cruise that you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah, honestly, probably the little beach party. I know there's a beach party going to go on, and we're going to all go hang out and do stuff. I don't really know what all games or that entails or what else all going to be included, but I think that's going to be fun because I'm sure some people are going to want to throw the football and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's going to be some other type of games as well. And then you'll get an opportunity to possibly beat us in something. There might be a horse competition or pig, or there may be a shuffleboard or a ping pong, and then you can say you beat one of us. Now, we're not going to go down easy, I promise you that, because we're all competitive. We don't like to lose. So I think it's still going to be fun, but I think just the interacting aspect of you're going to get with every one of the players. You're going to actually see their competitiveness come out when it comes to competitions. I don't like losing in trivia either. I know there's going to be a bunch of trivia, and I'm all about trivia.
Yeah, no, and that is going to be a great time. The beach parties are one of the things that I'm looking forward to most. The events, like you said, they've been kept under tight cover so far. Nobody really knows yet what's going on. We're going to find out.
TBD.
Yeah, TBD. But I do know they have some great things planned. I also know that there's a competition for the Browns backers organizations out there. Basically, what it is the chapter with the most bookings will get an all expenses paid balcony cabin for two on the Browns fan cruise. The chapter with the highest members to bookings ratio also gets an all expenses paid ocean view cabin for two. All members of the winning chapter will receive a specialty dining pass for two guests, and all members of the winning chapter will receive a Browns fan cruise commemorative Cleveland Browns autographed football. And so with that being said, and knowing there's a competition for Browns backers specifically, do you have anything that you want to say to Browns backers across the nation and across the world even?
Yeah, I would say thank you for your support, because I've been multiple places overseas and they have had huge supports of the Browns there. I've seen them everywhere. And I would say that's a huge aspect. Thank you for all that. And I know how competitive we are as players. I'm sure Browns backers, their chapters are super competitive as well. Don't let another chapter beat you out, because you're never going to hear it down, because they're always going to be the person that their chapter was the most diehard fan over the other ones that don't achieve the rewards and the most people coming. So you don't want to be, your Browns backers group doesn't want to be the one that gets left out on that.
No, absolutely not. And so, Kenny, did you have any last second questions here?
I know we're running a little bit long here. We really appreciate the time you spent with us, Gary. But I did have one final question, which is just around this Browns team this year. I know we've been a little bit up, a little bit down. Are they meeting your expectations? Do you have thoughts around the rest of the season for this team?
Honestly, I would say they are probably meeting what I expected right now. Again, Deshaun Watson hasn't played in years, and he's banged up, and then we just lost probably the best weapon on the team in Nick Chubb for the year. So I think it's going to be tough sliding up, but I think they have the ability because they have the players to make up for that. And I think they can do it. They're going to have to rely on their defense more than their offense, I think. And Deshaun Watson's just he's got to produce more than what we expected from when he came from Houston. And he hasn't lived up to that yet. But again, I see it as he had a full year and a half, whatever, off. And then he only got to play half the year last year. So basically 2 years off. So it's going to be a lot of rust coming back. So I think once he gets back on track, if he can get back to the Houston Texan days when he was playing that well, I think we'll have no problems there.
Do you think there's a playoff run in this team, or you think they fall just short this year?
I think this year's going to be tough without Chubb, honestly. It depends. The defense can win games single-handedly. So I think without Chubb, it makes it a lot harder. I think that they could be on the verge, and they're going to need some help from other teams. But I think they definitely can be on the verge. I think if they had Nick Chubb, they definitely would have been in the playoffs.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. Unfortunately, I probably agree with you there.
Sorry, I know I keep saying one more question. Final question from me. I know you mentioned that you have your own podcast there. I should know if you wanted to throw a quick plug in just around what you have going on with that.
Yeah, so me and D'Angelo Williams have a podcast called Cinnamon and Sugar. I'll give you the backstory.
Love the name.
Yeah, I'll give you the backstory of it too. Where we literally just talk about any and everything. We talk about football. We talk about daily life. We just talk about any topic we want to talk about. We talk about. So it's not just sports because we want to show a different side of us than just sports because we have a lot of other interests, a lot of other things we like to do, and there's more to us than just sports. So we talk about literally daily occurrences. We may talk about whatever D'Angelo had to deal with his kids. And then he'll ask me for parent advice. I don't have kids, but still, I've seen it. So it's all in good fun. We have a good time with it. But yeah, the Cinnamon and Sugar is the name. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It's on YouTube. Our YouTube is CNS Network, which is Cinnamon and Sugar Network. You can go there, see all the videos and stuff like that. But yeah, the Cinnamon and Sugar is obviously it's a little play on black and white, but it's also cinnamon. Everybody knows the cinnamon challenge. You can't eat a handful or a spoonful of cinnamon because it's too much, but you can eat a spoonful of sugar. Well, that's how we are. People can only handle D'Angelo in spurts, but they can handle me all day. So it plays on our who we are as well as people. So everything works out and we mesh well together. And it's another version of cinnamon and sugar together are amazing. You get cinnamon rolls. Those are amazing. So, and me and Dee together make a great thing.
Yeah, no, we're for sure. Burning River Sportscast is definitely going to subscribe to that because that sounds amazing. But no, we really appreciate your time, Gary. It's been awesome. You've had a lot of great stories. Yeah, go ahead.
So, for anybody out there that actually, I'll ask both of you first. Do either one of y'all believe in ghosts?
Sure. My wife always gives me shit because I don't believe in ghosts, but go on.
Okay. All right. So one thing me and D'Angelo are also doing, we have a thing on our YouTube. It's called Skeptic. It's Skeptic on YouTube. We do ghost investigation stuff. I do not believe in ghosts at all. I don't believe in any Sasquatch, none of that stuff. They all do believe, and they're trying to make me a believer. So we go and do these little investigation type things to find out if it is, and then I try to debunk what's going on if I can. And we've released one episode already, and it was an hour and a half long investigation we did at a place in Tennessee. And then we have some more coming this year where we actually went to Waverly in Louisville. Nice. And I'm working on trying to do Mansfield Reformatory, which I went to when I was in Ohio. When I played there, I went we spent the night there and did a whole thing there. But we're trying to do an investigation there. So
I was gonna say, that's a perfect place to try it out. Yeah.
If you do Mansfield, let us know.
Yeah, we'll meet you there.
We could tag along, and they could try and make me a believer too because I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I don't believe in any of it. I think a lot of it's fear based. But it's all fun. It's all good time. And if something makes me a believer, then I love it. But if not,
sounds like nothing convinced you in the first episode.
You have to watch and see. Can't tell you.
All right. Well, like I said, Gary, we got to save some of these stories for the fan cruise because we will be doing some more interviews there. But we really appreciate your time. It's been awesome. And we will talk to you soon here.
Thank you, and I hope to see everybody on the cruise. It'll be a blast. Come have fun with all of us and get all your questions answered.
All right, thanks, Gary.
I'm Gary Barnidge, and you're listening to Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns!